My name is Breunig. I'm VP of Strategy at PlaceIQ, and I've been there for about 2 years. My background is in advertising, ad agencies, consumer strategy, and funnily enough, anthropology. PlaceIQ is a company that defines, understands, and activates audiences. And the way we do that is by tying together the data we need to define audiences with a location analytics platform. That location intelligence platform basically makes sense of a vast array of data and kind of situates it in the world. So when I see that you're here, I kind of know what that means. I know what you're around. I know the behaviors that you're doing. When I see, that an audience lives here, I know what demographics, what TV they're watching, what purchases they're making, what their family kind of size, style, and life stage is. So with all of that tied together, as we have cell phones that are moving throughout the world, we're kind of picking up different pieces and different elements of how we define audiences, and we can write rules that specify which audiences we wish to speak to. And better than that, after we speak to them, we can kind of analyze and look at kind of what do their movements tell us about that audience. How are they unique, how are they different, and how are they the same to everyone else we're looking at. The rules PlaceIQ can write to define audiences are very robust and flexible. It's really quite fascinating as someone who used to be on the agency side and kind of using the if-and tools that we used to use to kind of get at audiences within syndicated data. Rather than using panels, we get to use populations because we're looking at movement data for over 70 million unique devices across a multitude of inventory sources. And when we look at those movements, we can write really, really awesome rules. And that might say, all right, I want all the audiences that reside in a residential area that is Hispanic, heavily Hispanic. We can say more than 75% Hispanic even. We can get really granular like that. And I can say, all right, I also want the audience who resides there but goes to, say, big box or grocery stores, actually those specific stores during the weekday. So basically running errands. They're not at a 9 to 5, they're running errands. And we can even come back and look at that same residential area and say, I want them to have, a kid in the household. So now we've just defined kind of a Hispanic household decision maker, which is a very valuable audience for maybe a CPG or another retailer. So PlaceIQ organizes data by looking at its location. But just as important to the location is the time. So in our tile system, which each tile is about 100 by 100 meters, we know if, say, a Walmart exists in there, or a basketball arena, or an airport, or just some residences. But what's important is when I see a device there. If I see a device at that Walmart at midnight, it would be erroneous of me to categorize them as a Walmart shopper. So time is just as important. So we have 27 distinct time periods that we've defined that help us kind of pull apart that data even further. My favorite example of this, it's a bit of an edge case, but it's a fun one, is there's a tile in East Texas that has a Baptist church, and it's right next to kind of a Roadhouse-esque bowling alley, kind of like the Patrick Swayze movie, except with bowling. And what's really interesting is because those two things are active at different times, that tile sends a different signal during those different times. So at 10 p.m. to 3 in the morning on a Friday night, Saturday morning, to us there's no church there. It's just that Roadhouse bowling alley. And on a Sunday morning early, when everyone who is at the bowling alley probably is stuck with a hangover, it's just a Baptist church.